Hey everyone, it's Zinia here from Abstract Inspiration and welcome back to my channel. Today is my very last art journaling video for the Shimmerz education team. It's been such a fantastic year, but I have to pause my work for Shimmerz for a while. Although I'm really hoping to return. I had such an amazing time working with all the beautiful products by Shimmerz, and I just love everything about them, the products, the company, just a fantastic experience, and I am honored to be part of this team for the past year. As I said, it's not that I don't love the products, it's just a matter of time management and other responsibilities. So I am really hoping that at some later point I can return to the team. As I said, it really feels like home and I absolutely adore working with these products. That being said, you will see them in my future projects or classes. I still have my beautiful collection of Shimmerz products and they will be getting more love, of course. Now for these art journal spread, I'm working on my Strathmore mixed media journal, and I decided to feature mostly some inklings and creamies. Now I want to note here that a few of the colors I use are aqua hues, but these are going to be discontinued very shortly, so instead of those I'm linking you to some inklings and creamies that have similar colors. So the shade might be like a tiny touch different, but they're still gorgeous colors. So I picked some of my favorite little pots and created a rainbow of colors, and I'm doing some, well, I don't really know how to call this. It's a very intuitive process, and it's basically some colorful mark making on the page. I have no other word to describe this. I've seen some beautiful pieces by other artists that do, well, they do really gorgeous things. I've been inspired by many artists nowadays. I don't even remember their names, but if you want some artsy inspiration, you can check my Pinterest. My art journal inspiration board is bursting with fantastic projects by other artists. Anyway, I know you're not here to talk about my favorite artists, but anyway, so I'm doing this kind of like mark making, different geometrical shapes with each color. I'm trying to do something similar. Let's say in my first color it was like I think it was the purple, so I did those dashed lines. Here you see with the blue I'm doing circles, so I'm trying to keep a similar pattern for each color but spread the colors across the page. But that will evolve as I'm moving on. As I said, this is a very intuitive process, and the whole point of it really reminded me something like swatching. It's a very simple exercise to get familiar with your paints, and you get a feel of different ways to use them, different brush strokes you can create, and different shapes and how they work. And later on, as I'm adding more details, you can kind of explore some glazing techniques or what other media work well with them, and you'll see what I made as we move on. It's a relatively longer video than what I usually do, but I didn't want to cut it out because the whole process is really fun and it has a little bit of something. I am a little bit slow, I guess, when it comes to art journaling. I'm just trying to, I take my time, I watch something on TV and I enjoy the process. I don't know about you, but for me art journaling is definitely more about the process than it is for the result, although the results are beautiful and fun as well. Oh, this is one of my most favorite inklings. It's called I'm Not Lemon. Generally my most favorite Shimmerz products, I guess in this pot form, are the inklings with the gold shimmer to them. Like this is the I'm Not Lemon. I also love the inklings called Blew My Mind and the Gosh Garnet. These are my three most favorite colors. Oh, and the orange one, I think it's called something like French toast, French something, I'm not sure, but all the colors in that kind of like subcategory that have the gold shimmer in them, they are fantastic. You should have them all in your collection. They're the most gorgeous Shimmerz inklings, or maybe even the most gorgeous Shimmerz products in general. Anywho, moving on. What else can I say? During this process, I actually wanted to say, at some points I felt like stuck, you know, like, oh, I did lines, now I did circles, now I did some dots, and now what? You don't need to do a lot of different things. It's the therapeutic value, the therapeutic, how you say that? I guess the therapeutic value in the process. It's just put the brush down, let it slide on the page, and have fun. And it's really fantastic, especially if you're using these shimmery paints. As you move your brush, you see the shimmer kind of build up on the page, and it has that magical feel to it. The process itself, it's really so much fun. Another thing that is very helpful in such exercise is to use multiple brushes. I worked with a flat brush and a round brush, and I'm also gonna grab a very tiny brush. And I actually mostly picked my most used and most favorite brushes, but I guess it's even more interesting and even more helpful and learning. It has more educational value if you're using brushes that you're not so much familiar with. That helps you also get familiar with the brush itself and the different brush strokes you can create with those brushes that you don't usually pick. So that is also a really cool tip for you. I guess the final result will look more like a pattern. It's a really playful page. I just love it, and I think that I'm gonna continue on that style and create some more spreads and pages. And you can dry your layers in between if you want. I just prefer to let them dry naturally and kind of allow the colors to bleed. If that happens, it will happen actually to me in a later moment. You will see it as I will add a color on the page. It will bleed with another color that didn't quite dry, and that is actually creating some really fun effects too. So if you happen to have any of these beautiful happy accidents, don't be alarmed, don't be devastated. Everything happens for a reason, and this is part of the learning process. So you don't put two colors together because they touch and blend, or oh, it looks so good. So it's nice to put two colors together and let them touch and blend. It teaches you a little bit of something, and it's just, as I said, the process is just fantastic. Now at this point, I think I talk so much and I'm kind of out of narrative ideas. Oh yeah, here is where I'm doing the bleeding there. I let that beautiful blue color bleed into my yellow, and it kind of created a muted muddy green, but it didn't bug me at all. It actually felt really nice and pretty. I really like letting the colors bleed. It's such a beautiful property of watercolors that they just blend and bleed to each other, and they create all those beautiful effects. It's just something you can't really recreate with another medium. It's just such a rich and fun product to play with. And although the inklings and the creamies are not like watercolors in the traditional sense, they are of course water soluble, and they blend and bleed and spread beautifully. They just have some gorgeous shimmery mica powders in them as well. And the best part is that they are safe and non-toxic, compared to some, artist grade watercolors that you need to be careful how you handle them, especially those beautiful cobalt pigments. So with Shimmerz, you don't need to worry about anything. Everything is nice and safe, and you can be carefree and creative. Now when you reach close to the end, you just feel the last little empty bits with whatever colors are missing from that area, I guess. That's the hardest part, to be creative with the type of marks I made there, but that kind of looks more like the number one there. It was kind of a weird element to add, but it filled the space. Now I let the page dry completely, or at least almost completely, and I'm gonna go back in and add more details. I think that is the key element to help such a page, such a design pop and come to life. So again, I will try a few different techniques. At first I'm picking this small round brush and adding details. You see some dots on the marks, and I will also play around with some stripes. So when you have some bigger elements, some bigger areas of color, you can create some patterns on them. As you see here, this is one of my favorite things. I really love watercolor stripes, and I think they create the most beautiful pattern in the world. It's just so pretty. And I'm just gonna continue just intuitively again, whatever I feel like, oh, you know what, I can put this color to that color. And even if you use the exact same color, it will kind of show, because it has that glazing, you can do that glazing technique if you just go over your first layer. Let's say our first layer was a lighter wash, and then we have the small brush, and we load it with a lot of pigment. It will be, the color will be stronger, and it will show really beautifully on that tone on tone effect. Here I'm doing another little pattern here, just some messy dots filling up the empty space, which is not really so empty. When I was working on this page, I was constantly feeling that the page is empty. I need to do something to fill the page. And now that I'm looking back to the process and to the final page, I realized that it was so full all along. It was constantly a very full and rich page, and I think that's what I love about this in the final result too. And here you see I kind of don't like these dots. I made these in my first layer, and I thought they didn't work so well, especially because I added that dot pattern over the purple. So I kind of fixed it by going back with the same color and turning those dots into scribbly lines. It's not perfect, but we're not striving for perfection here, we're just having fun with color. And I'm gonna go back to a few more glazing techniques here, just more stripes. In this case I used the same color over the same color, and you can see how you get a lighter impression. And here I'm going to use again the beautiful green color on top of the green color, and I'm just trying to pick as much pigment as I can to make sure it's visible. Again, you just add some texture. It doesn't need to be like in your face and very striking. You just want a little touch of extra color that will help everything blend beautifully and adds more detail on the flat areas. Now, other than using your paintbrush, you can use some markers. I absolutely love using white paint markers to scribble elements here and there, and that's what I'm going to do in this case. But you can also use colorful markers or black fine liner pens to do some outlines and some doodles. Whatever material, whatever product you're most comfortable with will work perfectly for this design, I guess. Let's call it a design. Here I'm gonna use another paint pen, and this is a finer line, and I'm gonna create sort of like a flower impression over those darker circles. And you see how lovely it is. And this was my last one. I wanted to do something on these blue circles, and I was like, what? I've done everything. So I just got the same color, and I did some kind of elliptical smudgy there. Just, you know, I just wanted the extra texture. It didn't need to be anything smart, anything special, or anything innovating. It's just pretty in its simplicity and in its primitive form. So that's my final page. It's a blast of color. It was an extremely fun and therapeutic process, and I would highly recommend giving it a go. Again, if you want to check these specific colors, I had a list in the beginning of the video, and there will be one over in the Shimmerz blog. I will have the link down below. And again, if you want to get a little freebie with your order, you can mention my name Zinia when you check out on the Shimmerz shop. Always fun to get a little extra product, right? So thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you so much for following along this beautiful creative journey with the Shimmerz team. I want to thank everybody, Stacy and Samantha and the rest of the team. I'm so happy to be part of the team, and I will always be part of the team in my heart. Thank you so much for everything, and happy crafting.